Hello folks. Well, in a recent video of mine you may have seen, I recommended these teardrop lights for flying FAA style RC models in the dark. As you also saw in that video, they only blink at various rates and they don't stay on steady. We had the option of our Marine Phantoms to have steady or flashing lights. The thing is, when you're standing on the ground in the pitch dark flying, randomly blinking lights are confusing to the RC pilots. For one thing, if we can make them flash at the same time, like on real planes, and synchronous, that would be better. But randomly flashing makes it difficult to see if the wings are level or not. I'm not talking about totally lighted up planes. They look cool, but that's like cheating to us old-time purists who never had LEDs, or gyros for that matter either. You know, it's just a whole lot more challenge flying in the dark like that. And that's what we like. You know, if it's too easy, why bother? Flying like this reminds me of when I was a kid, you know, lying in the grass, looking up to planes flying over, and the beginning of my quest to fly. But we need steady-on lights. So for this reason, I took the teardrop lights apart and installed a switch to keep them on all the time. Now they're really great, and with a full battery charge, they will stay steady for a good 20 minutes. So wanting to get some lights to stay on all the time, I began looking online and I found these. I think they're mostly made for drones as they have attachment points to wrap rubber bands around them and they easily connect to the drone arms. Blinking lights on the drones are great for aircraft avoidance prevention, but for flying model aircraft they're not suitable unless you turn them on steady. As you know, I wrote the book on night flying and I've got a lot of practice at it. Well, this was a norm for us because they look like real airplanes. What you think you know changes when you actually do fly in the pitch dark. These lights, which look like old airplane canopies, have many different flashing points and colors, which is really neat. But they also have steady, and that's what I want. Also, the battery that the company says that in it is 70 milliamp, as you can see in this ad. But in reality, they are only 55 milliamp. I guess they figured no one would ever take them apart. So I timed the 55 milliamp battery in the blink mode, and it ran several hours okay, but in steady, they were dead in 5 minutes. Well, curiously, one of the units actually ran 12 minutes on steady. I found this out by accident because when I put what I thought was a fully charged one on my Mavic drone to video this year's Christmas parade, the red light was out within 5 minutes, where the parade lasted 30. Well, luckily I had my lighted landing gear on, which stayed lit for the whole parade. So my fix was to take them apart and just use an external battery, a 1S 150 milliamp LiPo. Okay, before I show you how I did that, I also wanted to point out that when these lights were delivered, they would not turn on. Usually anything I buy with LiPos will need charge for sure, but they would all turn on. Not these. Actually thought they were defective because they were dead. Some of them, and I bought 8 at $12 each, would charge, but I could not come up with a time that was steady for any of them. Each one would run at different times. And I couldn't check the battery charge state like my teardrop ones, which can be checked at the charge port with this tester, like this. So when I took them apart, I checked them and I found out they were only charging at 4.1 volts at the highest after charging. 2 only charged up to 3.85 volts. Well, then I tried my USB 500 milliamp power supply, but it still would not peak them. The manufacturer probably did that to keep them from overcharging. So I wondered what the heck was draining the battery when they were turned off. Well, what I found out is that when you turn them off, they remember the last light setting. That way, when you turn them on again, the circuit remembers your last light setting was. Well, that's great. You know, it's like the memory in your car radio. The drawback is that the memory is draining the battery continuously, like the car radio, and when it goes below 3 volts, the battery is history. I proved this as well by letting my cells stay connected overnight after using it for just 5 minutes. Well, next morning I found my battery completely dead and will no longer accept a charge. That one is now history. It shows 0 volts. So by me adding the larger battery, I can disconnect it and nothing goes dead. And you can check your battery before you fly. I just have to cycle through the lights to get back where the setting I want. It's no big deal. So be cautious how you use these lights. My fix works great and the battery lasts for hours unsteady. Just pop the battery off and charge normally. Well, I still prefer the teardrop lights for flying in the dark. But again, I had to modify them so that they would stay on all the time. I also love flying the old way, as you can tell. And as far as these other lights go, now modified, I'm sure I'm going to find a use for them. So thanks a lot for watching, folks. I hope this helped you out if you're considering getting these things. We'll see you next time, and thanks a lot for watching. God bless and stay well. This is a Night Flyer signing off for now.